All right, guys, so we're gonna go over the proper way to hide our foot. So in our previous video, we covered heel slipping. Once we're able to heel slip, assuming we get to that spot, we go into our protocol for hiding our foot. So if we're hiding our foot correctly, hopefully we never have to heel slip. But what's kind of nice about heel slipping and hiding the foot is the positioning you're doing with your feet is kind of the same. So whether you get caught in an actual heel hook or you're just hiding your foot, the way you want to position your leg is exactly the same. So they kind of work very well together. Like it's this kind of same line of thought. So just going back very briefly, if Mike gets me in a heel hook grip, remember he wants my toes completely flat into his ribs like this, so just let go. So when hiding my foot, I want to completely turn my foot the opposite direction. So I'm going to curl my toes like this, like I'm trying to pick something up off the floor, point my toes, curl them like a ballerina, and when I do that, it shortens my heel. So it makes the heel less prominent, less easy for him to grab. Then I'm gonna rotate my knee, basically the direction his hips are facing. So in an outside heel hook, I'm gonna rotate my knee externally. In an inside heel hook, I would rotate it internally. So we're gonna start with an outside heel hook. I'm gonna keep my knee rotated in this direction, like this. So obviously Mike's gonna be doing things like grabbing my leg, trying to keep everything tight right here, but I'm gonna be rotating in this direction. As I do this, my secondary leg, the one that's free, I'm pulling myself around the corner. So the more I pull myself this way, the more my knee rotates away from him. So if he was in a position now to try to get my heel, just super awkward for him. He just can't do it at this point. In terms of where my toes are, I wanna get my like toe knuckles almost in his elbow, like this. So the higher up they are, the more ability he has to scoop that wrist under my heel. So I wanna get them all the way here, like this. So when he goes to grab the heel right now, he's just pinching the top of my toe knuckles. He's not in any position to get that foot flat into the ribs like we went over, like this. So from here, pull myself around the corner, get those toe knuckles down, and use this second leg to pull myself around right here. So now, again, we talked about in outside ashi, he doesn't have a great ability to bring my knee back this way, so it can be really very challenging for him to get my heel here. At this point, my heel is safely hidden. We would then go over how to separate our partner's feet and actually get out of this position. So this is our heel hide. But it's important to understand, this is from outside ashi. If I end up in a reap, so Mike's legs are locked on the inside, hiding my foot here can be very dangerous. You guys have definitely seen people get hurt in this position. Like just off the top of my head, in quintet, Jake Shields had, I think it was Cub Swanson here, and Cub Swanson tried to turn back into him, and I think he tore his ACL in this spot. So this is a dangerous position. I've seen people in training get hurt here. So it's important to understand, because his legs are going across my knee right now, again, this position is strong for exposure. If Mike straightens his legs into me as I turn my knee out at the same time, that's an injury right here. So when we're in this type of situation, hiding the foot can be dangerous. So if I was much bigger than Mike and I got some weight on him, maybe I can force this position and do this, but I would do it with caution. It could be a potentially injury type scenario for you. So when we're here, instead we're gonna look to pummel our leg. So here, I'm gonna keep my foot pointed, but I'm not gonna try to manipulate my knee. I'm gonna focus on pummeling my legs. Once my legs are pummeled, I can then pass his legs back to the outside and resume hiding my foot right here. So it's just important to understand that from a reap position, that same protocol from outside, I'm not necessarily doing that. A lot of times you're gonna be better off pummeling, so now his feet are free and I can pass them to an outside position where now he can't get the heel. And I can safely hide that foot. Even a situation where Mike's in far hip, right here. So two legs, so this is similar to a reap, just rotate this way. So you can see this is similar to a reap, but his legs are over my far hip, right here, like this. Just go back, I just wanted them to see. So, legs in the far hip. From here, same thing. If he straightens his legs into me, I'm gonna potentially injure myself. A lot of times you're better off passing the legs back to the outside, now resuming your heel hide, pulling yourself around the corner, pointing those toes, trying to get the toe knuckles in line with his elbow. In both those scenarios with the reaps and the far hip, we can absolutely start to free our knee line right here. This is definitely something we can do. But just for now, we're talking about heel hiding. If you're gonna hide there, you have to get the legs back to a position where you can actually hide your foot. So now looking at saddle, it's the complete opposite. Outside heel hooks, we're externally rotating our knee. Inside heel hooks, we're internally rotating our knee. So same thing, I'm pointing my toes, my knee is turning in this direction, kind of the direction his hips are facing, and I'm gonna get my toe knuckles right here, kind of in line with his elbow. So when he goes to pinch, he's pinching the top of my foot and he's not getting underneath the ball of my foot, which is what he wants right here. So now when he goes to get my heel here, it becomes difficult, and I keep that alignment with him. So specifically in saddle, a lot of times we see these rolling battles where Mike is gonna rotate, you don't have to rotate yet, rotate to follow me. So as he rotates, I have to maintain this same relative alignment the whole time. Just back up a little bit because we're gonna do a rotation. So when he goes to rotate after my heel, it's hidden right now. If I stay here, and I see this all the time, go to rotate, he's gonna rotate, and then all of a sudden my heel is exposed right here. So if I feel him start to turn, I turn with him. For every degree he turns, I turn, and I maintain that same alignment that I have with my leg being hidden, right? If I just spin, let's say I just spin as fast as I can, maybe Mike comes up and takes my back right here. This is a problem. Boom. Or even worse, I just spin as fast as I can, and I spin 360 degrees in place, and I just get heel hooked again, right? So I wanna stay almost, we'll say like a quarter turn ahead of him. 90 degrees ahead of him right here. So when he goes to follow me, I rotate with him in this position. So I'm maintaining that same relative alignment of my leg to his body right here. So with outside ashi, not that we don't see this type of scenario, but generally the person is not rotating like this. But if they do, I would do the same exact thing. So if Mike went to rotate around my heel, I would high leg with him, and I would rotate to maintain that alignment that he has with my leg. So that way, when he goes to get the heel, I'm maintaining where my foot is relative to his arm and where my knee is relative to his hips. Now, to contrast this with 50-50, so similar idea to a reap. From here, his legs are going this way. He has a strong pressure in the back of my knee. So when I go to hide, again, it's not that I can't hide. And luckily in this position, you guys are not gonna hurt yourselves. Like in the reap, there's definitely a potential for injury. For here, it's not the same, but it's harder for me to hide my foot. So instead, I'm gonna focus on coming forward. So I'm gonna pull myself around the corner like we did in that other video and just grab his hands and relock my legs. Once the legs are locked, now I can worry about separating Mike's feet and looking for ways to get myself out of this position or counterattack. Okay, so from the 50-50, again, we can hide. The idea would be the same. I would rotate my toes down, get that foot in that same position, and maintain this angle with Mike. It's just gonna be harder. Like you guys are gonna do it, it's gonna feel harder because his legs are going against my turn versus in saddle position, his legs are going with my turn. It's just so much easier for me to rotate in this position. I'm not even going over the defense yet. I'm not pummeling my legs like we're supposed to. I'm not doing those things yet, but just understanding the positioning of your foot and where you're supposed to be moving here. So contrasting that with outside, much, much easier for me to hide my foot. It's not super hard here. If we're in a reap with the legs on the inside, we'll say, it's even dangerous to hide my foot here. If he really puts a bend in my leg and I go back into him, I'm getting hurt. So here we're gonna focus instead on pummeling and bringing his legs back to the outside. So this reason right here is one of the reasons I feel a reap is one of the strongest leg lock positions, and we're gonna eventually get into that, why it's so strong and some options we have from there. But I think at least right now the meta is very 50-50. But this is something, reaping, that I think a lot of people could use successfully in competition. So we're not gonna get into that now, but just so you guys have an understanding of that. So again, reaping, don't wanna try to hide my foot. It can be dangerous, bring the legs back to the outside, hide the foot, or free my knee line. So Mike is gonna have difficulty finishing me. All right, so we have the relationship, heel hiding between 50-50 saddle and outside ashi reaps. And that goes hand in hand with the leg positioning that we talked about in the previous videos. You know, the reap is used for one thing, outside ashi is used for one thing, saddle is used for one thing, 50-50 is used for another thing. So you guys can kind of see why the legs are in one place and the effect they have on the heel hide and the control and the finish of the position. All right?